So, the topic for today's class is State Bank of India. When we hear the term State Bank of India, automatically the logo comes into our mind. Do you know the meaning of this logo? Yes, the logo has its own meaning. The bigger circle signifies the unity of all the SBI branches of India, with the smaller circle as the customer at the center. Now, with knowing the meaning of this logo, let's move on to the introduction of State Bank of India. State Bank of India is an Indian multinational public sector banking and financial services statutory body headquartered in Mumbai, Maharashtra. SBI is the 43rd largest bank in the world and ranked 221st rank in the Fortune Global 500 list of the world's biggest corporations of 2020, being the only Indian bank on the list. Is it a matter of pride? Yes, right? It is a public sector bank and the largest bank in India with a 23rd percentage market share by assets and a 25th percentage share of the total loan and deposits market. It is also the fifth largest employer in India with nearly 250,000 employees. The bank descends from the Bank of Calcutta, founded in 1806 via the Imperial Bank of India, making it the oldest commercial bank in the Indian subcontinent. To know about the board of directors, Sri Dinesh Kumar Khara is the chairman, followed by the managing directors and then by the directors. Now let's move on to the history of State Bank of India. The State Bank of India, that is SBI, was established in 1806 in Kolkata. 3 years after that, it acquired its charter and was redesigned as Bank of Bengal in 1809. It was the very first joint stock bank of India which the Bengal government sponsored. Apart from the Bank of Bengal, the Bank of Madras and the Bank of Bombay was also a part of this joint stock and remained at the center of the modern banking. Initially, all the three banks were Anglo-Indian creations and they came into play due to the following reasons like lack of modernization, local European commerce, needs and requirements, compulsions, imperial finance. The transformation or evolution of the State Bank of India came about due to the ideas adopted from the same movements happening in England and Europe. Another reason that contributed to this evolution was the changes and modifications in the local trading environment, along with the India's economic relationship with that of Europe and the global economic structure. Knowing the history, now let's jump on to the objectives of SBI. The State Bank of India has been established to operate on the normal commercial principles, with the only difference that unlike other commercial banks in the country, it takes into consideration and responds in a progressively liberal manner the financial requirements of cooperative institutions and small-scale industries, particularly in the rural areas of the country. The main objectives of the State Bank of India are to act in accordance with the broad economic policies of the government. The next is to encourage and mobilize the savings by opening branches in rural and semi-urban areas and to promote the rural credit. Next is to establish government partnership in the provision of cooperative credit, to extend financial help for the establishment of licensed warehouses and cooperative marketing societies, then, to provide financial help to the small scale and cottage industries. Next objective is to provide remittance facilities to the banking institutions. Apart from all this, the State Bank of India acts as an agent of the Reserve Bank in all those places where the latter does not have its branches. With knowing the objectives of SBI, we have to know about the functions of SBI, right? So let's move on. Functions of SBI. The State Bank of India enjoys the status of being the largest bank in India. Recently, due to the merger, it became the largest bank in terms of asset size in the world. Thus, there are a lot of functions being handled by SBI daily. The functions of the State Bank of India is largely divided into two main categories. These are central banking functions and general banking functions. First, let's discuss about the central banking functions. SBI acts as an agent to the RBI. where there are no branches RBI available. Accordingly, there are many functions which are rendered by the SBI, such as it acts as the banker to the government. SBI caters to the need of both the government, central as well as the state. On behalf of the government, it receives the money and deposits it. It collects the charges on behalf of the government like tax collection and other payments. It also grants advances and loans to the government. That is why it is called as banker to the government. The next function is banker's bank. Many commercial banks have their accounts with SBI. These banks resort to help SBI whenever they face the financial shortage. It also discounts the bills for these commercial banks. Due to this function, SBI is also considered the banker's bank, but only in a limited sense. The next important function performed is maintaining the currency. Is it a difficult task for RBI? Yes, it is. RBI is reporting for maintaining its own currency, but the offices of RBI are only available in big cities, but the branches of SBI are available everywhere in the country. The network of SBI works in rural as well as urban areas. In such places, RBI maintains its currencies with SBI. The currency is withdrawn from these branches whenever required by RBI. The next function performed as a central banking function is acts as a clearing house. In place where RBI has no branches, SBI acts as a clearing house for them. There it facilitates the service of interbank settlements and many other services. All the banks have accounts with SBI, so the process of clearing becomes easier for SBI. Next, let's move on to the general banking functions performed by SBI. These are: it accepts the deposits from the people in the form of saving, fixed, current, and recurring deposit accounts, as it is common in commercial banks. Based on the securities of the stocks and other securities, SBI gives advances and loans to the public. SBI also gives the facilities of drawings, accepting and buying and selling the bills of exchange. It also issues and circulates the letter of credit. SBI also invests in the funds or any special kind of security. The bank also acts as a trustee, executor, or otherwise based upon the circumstances. It is also entrusted with selling and purchasing of either movable or immovable property that come in the bank. SBI also functions for selling and buying of gold and silver. For the general public, it also helps in opening up of the public provident funds, that is PPF account. It underwrites any issues related to the securities or debentures that are authorized. It also provides the facility of shipping finance as well as various factoring services. There are many leading bank schemes in which the SBI participates. So all these are the general banking functions of SBI. Now we have covered the functions of SBI. Let's move on further. The next topic we are going to discuss is about the structure of SBI. So here is the organization structure where you can see the chart. So the structure is as follows: chairman, managing directors, deputy managing directors, chief general managers, followed by deputy general managers and assistant general managers, chief managers. Under that comes the managers, deputy managers, assistant managers, followed by probationary officers, mostly called as PO, clerical staff, then comes the sub-staff. So the chairman and the managing director is only applicable for SBI. The organization structure of its associate banks ends in deputy managing directors itself. The head of the associate banks will be the deputy managing director. The next, organization of SBI. The organization of the SBI can be discussed under the following heads. The first one is about the capital. The SBI has an authorized capital of rupees 20 crores, which has been divided into 20 lakh shares of rupees 100 each. The issued capital of the State Bank is rupees 5.6 crores. The next topic is management. The management of SBI is under the control of the Central Board of Directors consisting of 20 members. A chairman and a vice chairman are to be appointed by the central government in consultation with the Reserve Bank. 2 managing directors are to be appointed by the central board with the approval of the central government. 6 directors are to be elected by the private shareholders. That is, 8 directors are to be nominated by the central government. in consultation with the Reserve Bank to represent the territorial and economic interest. Not less than two of them should have special knowledge in the working of the cooperative institutions and of the rural economy. One director is to be nominated by the central government, the other one is to be nominated by the Reserve Bank. The structure and the organizational structure of the SBI is a little bit complicated. The next is about the subsidiary banks. Through the State Bank of India Act 1959, major state associated banks were converted into subsidiary banks of State Bank of India. At present, there are 7 subsidiary banks of the State Bank of India. They are State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Patiala, State Bank of Saurashtra, State Bank of Travancore, and State Bank of Indore. Next, let's move on to the working and progress of SBI. First, we have to know the general progress of SBI. The SBI has made a tremendous progress since its inception in 1955. The table clearly shows the progress of the banks in the fields of deposit mobilization, credit expansion, and branch expansion. In case of deposit mobilization, there has been an increasing trend with regard to the mobilization of deposits by the State Bank of India. In case of credit expansion, the progress in the field of credit expansion has also been considerable over the years. Branch expansion, the number of branches of the State Bank of India has also grown remarkably since its establishments. The summary of this session. We studied about the introduction to SBI. We then moved on to the history of SBI, followed by the objectives and functions of SBI. Then we also came to know about the structure and organization of SBI. And finally, we saw the working and progress of SBI.